Hi all, I hope you are doing as well as possible considering this rather surreal and challenging time that we're in the midst of. This is my video explanation of what you have to do for the rest of the semester. This will match up perfectly with what I emailed out, so that Word document or the PDF that I'm posting on Blackboard, but I'm hoping this makes a little bit more sense for anyone who's confused. So read through that, watch this video, let me know if there's anything at all that confuses you. The goal for this is to be as flexible as possible. So this is a completely asynchronous course. What that means is you do not need to video in or call in at a specific time for a lecture. You do not have specific discussion boards that you have to post and everyone has to respond to by midnight. Instead, I'm giving you a series of assignments. They do have particular due dates, but you have a ton of flexibility. You potentially could get this course done in the next week. If you say, I'm going to focus on this, I'm going to get it out of the way, then I don't have to worry about it, completely fine. Or you could say, I'm just going to stagger it along, I'll meet the due dates, and I'll get everything submitted. Again, I don't want this to be stressful. I don't want this to be the course that really drives you crazy or keeps you up at night. And especially right now, there's a lot of reasons to be stressed. So get sleep, get this out of the way. Don't worry about it. All right. So the first thing that is due, this should not be surprising. This is the second paper. For the second paper, you have to go out and observe some sort of ritual or place that groups of people come together in a way that they're using their bodies as symbols. You observe that, you take 3 pages of detailed notes, and then 2 pages of analysis where you make connections to class. Again, this is exactly like the first paper, except for the second paper, you have to observe a group. Now, if you already went and did your observations, that's great. You've got the notes to work with, you can write your paper. Now, for the rest of you, you're probably wondering, how do I do this considering people are in quarantine, people are enforcing physical distance from each other, people aren't going out in public and going to concerts, they're not going to go out to the club and dance. Well, some people are, but they should not be. They're not even coming together at church services, right? So it's a little bit hard. For that reason, it is okay to watch a documentary. You can choose a documentary related to a subculture in some way, right? Any type of subculture. Watch the documentary and basically imagine that you're following along, taking notes, just like you would be out in public. So take 3 pages of notes on the documentary, and then you can do those 2 pages of analysis. If you're not sure if your documentary really counts, email me, send me a trailer, and I can give you the approval. The other thing that I want to point out is the subculture readings. The final reading that we were supposed to have Friday, and then the first reading that we would have had when we came back from spring break will be useful. So take a look, and I'll explain where you see the readings, but take a look at those readings. So you've got Stefano Block talking about graffiti, and you've got Arun Saldana talking about ravers. So people go to raves in Goa, India. So you might want to look at those two just to get a sense of the type of analysis they did, and you can also make direct connections in your paper. So that's paper 2. So make sure you get that in by April 10th. Again, email me if you have questions. Next thing, discussion leaders. So a lot of you still need to be discussion leaders. By the end of the semester, you have to be a discussion leader twice. Some of you are done. Some of you have done it 1 time. Some of you have done it 0 times. So you need 2 total by April 24th. Now, since you obviously cannot come to class and lead us through a conversation, what I want you to do is I've broken up the remaining readings into 5 topics. Choose the topics that interest you the most. Each topic counts as 1 discussion leading session. So if you are interested in conversations around hair, so we've got one about women's hair, in particular black women's hair, as a place where cultural resistance can occur. And then a reading on manscaping, so men grooming their body hair. If you're interested in those topics, you would read those 2 readings. Now, for each of these 5 topics, there's 2 readings per topic. So you would do the 2 readings for hair. You would follow the same prompts that you would have if you were doing a discussion leader write-up, right? So you're going to summarize it. You're going to highlight the things that are interesting to you. You're going to raise a few questions. The only difference is for doing this discussion leading, you have to connect the 2 readings. So you'll do it exactly the same as if you were a discussion leader in class, except you'll also think about how those 2 readings fit together. So there's 5 different topics. The first is subculture, which I recommend reading because it's useful for the paper. The second is hair. Third is about moving bodies. So there's a reading on surfing, and there is a reading on I can't remember if I chose parkour or bicycle riding, but you'll see when you go to those two. Then there's a reading on contesting the binary. So these are 2 chapters from a book about people who are intersex. Really good book. Came out a year ago, won a bunch of awards. Excellent book. So consider reading that if you're interested. And then the 5th one is What is Wrong with Fat? It's written by a scholar who has a legal background but is a sociologist. And what she does is to look at the different way that power is imposed upon bodies, this kind of medical expertise. So the final 2 are excellent examples of how expertise defines the body. Moving bodies is more about embodiment. Hair is more about this idea of bodies, right? So how groups come together and are defined, but also the body. You can think about how expertise is attached to different looks and how it shapes the way we feel about ourselves. And then subculture is an example of bodies, so useful for the paper. So again, for a discussion leader, you need to do 2 of these. If you did not do well on one of the discussion leading, if you were a discussion leader before and you didn't do well, you can still potentially replace one of those. And submit this all on Blackboard by April 24th. Final project. This is the thing that needs the most explaining. This is something we came up with together. So whoever showed up on the final day of class on Friday, which was completely optional, you all helped me come up with this. So what you have to do for the final project is you are, in a sense, finding representations of the body and society through commercials, through music videos, and then potentially through video clips. This is due on May 8th. So specifically what you have to do is start out by thinking about the 3 ways you can study the body and society. The first is the body. Remember, if you look at the body, it's how different types of expertise define what a proper body is. In a sense, defines what is normal and what is not normal. So that could be through fashion, could be the media, could be medicine, could be the school, all these different ways that tell us what our body is supposed to be. Second would be bodies. With bodies, you're thinking about more that subcultural approach, how groups of people come together, right? You could think about Irving Goffman. You could think about that gym reading that we had. You could think about the reading about S&M culture, the 2 subculture readings I recommended early. So here you're thinking about groups of bodies. Third option is embodiment, specifically how people feel, right? What it's like to have a body in society, what it's like to experience the world. So you're going to choose one of those topics, one of those bigger ways of understanding the body in society. Then the next thing you're going to do, and this is the difficult part that you really need to think through, is you're going to choose some sort of topic that interests you that relates to one of those 3 approaches to studying the body and society. So you're going to choose a topic, and then once you choose that topic, you're going to find 5 commercials, music videos, or clips from movies that capture that thing, right? So an example might be, if you were really interested in seeing how the pregnant body is represented, which would be a perfect example of the body in society, because there's all these different ways that expertise is attached to a body when it's pregnant or at post-pregnancy, you would say, all right, so I've chosen this topic. Now I want to see how it's represented. So I'm going to find some commercials. I'm going to find a music video where it shows someone who's pregnant. I'm going to find some clips from movies that look at childbirth or look at a pregnant woman having cravings, right? Something like that. So that's the next step. And you could do that for each of these, right? So I came up with some other examples. If you're interested in embodiment, this is the most challenging because often representations don't really capture the feeling or the experience, but you can imagine you're interested in MMA fighters, right? And the experience of being an MMA fighter. So maybe you find some sort of advertisement where it focuses on that experience, the experience itself. Hard to do, but you could find some examples of that, right? So you're going to choose this thing that interests you, choose the approach, you're going to choose the topic, you find those 5 commercials, music videos, clips from movies, and then what you do, this should not take you a ton of time. The part that should take the most time is really thinking through what your topic is and then finding examples of it. You're going to write an introduction. The introduction should be 1 to 2 paragraphs. The introduction explains why you chose the topic that you did, which of the 3 approaches to the body and society it relates to, and then how it relates to that. So that's the introduction. Next thing you do is you simply provide the 5 links, right? Here's the things that I chose. Here's the examples or representations. Here's the 5 links so I can watch them. Then you write your conclusion, 2 to 3 paragraphs, not very long. In the conclusion, you just want to explain what we learned from your examples and then make some connections to class. Choose some sort of reading or discussion that it relates to. Choose a few little connections that can be made. So this doesn't have to be that long. 5 paragraphs at the most, right? 2 in the intro, 3 in the conclusion, and then those 5 links. Doesn't need to take you a ton of time, but choose wisely, right? Don't just choose a topic randomly, enter it in Google, and choose the first 5 videos. I want to see that you thought this through and really wanted to show something or really wanted to learn something. You have a lot of freedom here. You have a lot of flexibility, but it's your chance, in a sense, to do some of what we were doing with show and tells, except make it more rigorous, right? Not just showing one commercial, but show 5 things that group together, or maybe go across one commercial, one music video, one clip from a movie. See how they're different. See how they're similar. So that's the plan. After you do those things, after you finish being a discussion leader, after you finish the second paper, after you finish the final project, you are completely done. If you are lost, if you are confused, I will be holding virtual office hours every Wednesday from 9 to noon. I'll do that via Google Hangouts. I will send you a link. Now, you still need to email me and tell me if you're going to be there, because I'm not just going to sit in front of my computer for 3 hours. I'll be near my computer. I'll be doing other things. So let me know if you want to check in, but I'll always leave that block open. The other thing, email me anytime, especially if it's a short question. I will also do scheduled video meetings outside of that Wednesday 9 to noon. I'm trying to be as flexible, as helpful as possible. And then the final thing, if there's something that's really confusing and a few people email me about it, I'll do another video explainer. So this was an overview of everything you have to do, but maybe there's something with the final project that doesn't make sense. Let me know. I can explain it further. You have a lot of flexibility with these projects. Unfortunately, we're not meeting in class. We can't talk about it as a group. So let me know if you need more guidance. Let me know if there's something that confuses you. And again, my goal is to make something or give you an option where it's not stressful, you still get to engage with the material, and you do it in a way that's enjoyable. So good luck. Let me know if there's anything confusing.